Question 1112. Is expecting companies to have a moral conscience unrealistic?
No,
So this is a really good
I'll
question.
I'll come in on this in a bit because I could probably go off on one on this, but I'll come in a bit.
You're going to be last then.
I'd say it's definitely it's certainly easier to make like an Apple-sized company if you exploit like child labor elsewhere. But it's I'm interested as to whether it's possible to be more ethical. I mean,
surely a company's well, America has decided that a company's
our
only
people-
objective should be shareholders. Should be the bottom line. It shouldn't really be making moral decisions. It should be making bottom line decisions.
Mm.
And whether or not the public buy from it should dictate whether or not its actions are moral or acceptable. I mean, they tried. There were court cases in the States.
no.
No.
Because if it's flip it on its head, if you made a decision that was the right decision, but nobody bought into it, it's still the right decision objectively. So you could be saying like,
No, but it's not the right decision for the company. The right decision for the company is what generates a profit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Not the moral decision.
Well, I don't think it's unrealistic, but maybe not attainable.
Interesting.
With bigger companies, like Dave was saying, exploiting children, people in poorer countries, and companies like Walmart, they go down to like Panama, places like that, set up effectively sweatshops and make them think it's the greatest thing in the world because they're paying them like maybe 50 cents on the dollar when they might get 25 cents from someone else. And making them seem like they should be so grateful that they get paid once a month and all their money's gone in 5 minutes and they've got nothing left and they're working 14, 15-hour days. Like there are some companies set up in China out on the little Chinese islands, and they have people living 50 to a room. You're not allowed to fraternize with anyone. If you get married, you'll be fired and deported. Yeah. I'm saying no.
We're saying no. Let's quickly go to the chat. Never Again says yes and no. Jamie says yes, but it should be. Never Again says depends on how big a company is, but they should be held accountable. Public companies, not private companies.
Well, I'm saying it's not accountable, but I'm just saying it's more attainable.
Jamie says, unfortunately, unless you hold companies accountable, they're never going to do the right thing when the alternative is more profit. Paul says, if it wasn't for unemployment law, we would still send 7-year-olds up chimneys. I think you're right. Never Again says, not all companies are on the stock market. People forget that. Companies are on the stock market don't even work to profit. They work to share price, which is a really fucked up way to work.
You're in my soapbox now.
Got to say, saying it depends on the business. I work for a corporation that takes care of mentally disabled adults, and they go above and beyond expectations. But do they go above and beyond expectations in terms of how they source things, for example, or just in terms of the areas that it cares about?
Exactly.
Never Again says, I despise Walmart. Paul says, companies are forced to change. They don't do it voluntarily. I totally agree. Never Again says, slave labour. Jamie says, lol, Walmart had donation boxes in their store for their employees. Do you have any idea how much food they just throw away and how much the CEOs make? It's fucking gross. Mass Pig.
Yeah, I don't think it's not achievable. I was thinking there maybe about co-ops and things like that, where the employees actually work towards helping the business and things like that. But other than that, I don't think it's possible, no. America has set a precedent. And
this is the thing, like, if you try to hold them accountable, all they do is go set up in another country. And look how many, what is it, Facebook's in Ireland? And a few other countries set up there because they've got, a tax haven for them. They'll just go somewhere else. Or somewhere where they can exploit.
And that's insane because, like, even when that was happening and people were complaining, they wanted the Irish government said, no, we don't want their tax money. Like, there was people trying to fight to make them pay taxes, and the Irish government was like, no, we don't want it. It's fine. Just let them stay there. We have the business. We have them. It's just be quiet.
Yeah.
And Joe says they should be held to a moral standard because corporations can do more damage than individuals.
Yeah, but then
That's employment. That's basically laws. If you're talking about, and then you have to agree a moral standard.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. We have to agree
coming.
on what morals, what your morals are, or not my morals.
Yes.
You know.
Manda.
I gotta shut up. I gotta mute myself. I gotta.
It's okay. It's alright. I'm gonna get Jeff in a minute, and it's gonna go nuts. Amanda.
It could do.
I already answered, but you ignored me. So.
Say again?
I said
What
I
did you
was
say?
the first to answer.
What did you say?
I said yes, because they're run by human beings, so they should be able to be moral.
But do you think we should make the individuals in charge of companies?
Because people are greedy fuckers.
Then surely the issue might be to turn around and say that businesses, that the owners of a business at any level should be held responsible for the actions of that business.
Yeah.
See whether or not shareholders then are willing to invest in companies that act unethically.
Yeah. That's a good solution. Yeah.
Jamie says, co-ops, yes. Companies the way we have them today, no. Jamie says, I fully believe the way forward is moving towards a worker-owned co-op model. The system we have now doesn't work.
That's called communism.
Jeff!
I like your thinking. I like your thinking.
Do you have an opinion on this, Jeff?
I may have an opinion upon this, yes.
You may.
Here is the thing, that we are dealing with a system that is a competitive system.
Competition is good.
Yeah.
Competition, you know, we have to understand, yes, competition can breed a lot of dynamism, and that, which is, there is no escaping that. Mm-hmm. But it also, one of the rules of it is, you know, surplus value over variable capital, you know, rate of exploitation. Here is the problem: when one person is when one company is being unethical and putting the squeeze on, say, its workers or what it's doing or whatever, and another person is trying to be more ethical, which one is going to survive? And it is the unethical one. That is a fact of life. You know, they want, you know, they want to survive and profit and beat their competition. It is generally the ones that are more. I mean, generally the capitalists who have tried to be the more ethical ones are the ones who've been put out of business.
Yes.
And
what you're saying then is that you need government, you need restrictions.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even. I mean, I don't think I'm even making some kind of Marxist argument here. It's partially, but I think, you know, either way you look at it, if you want to look at it from a Marxist point of view, or if you want to look at it from a thing that there needs to be there needs to be like something like, you know, there needs to be state or something to curb the worst excesses of capitalism.
As Adam Smith says, the merchants have no country. They go elsewhere to where they can get the stuff cheaper.
This is where this is the outlying issue. I mean, we had this in the UK with, like, not far from me, investors on the Isle of Wight, the wind turbine manufacturer who moved their stuff abroad. And then ended up coming back because actually, weirdly enough, because they were given some sort of tax deal or something. But and it's like, but you know, it was but you know, initially the UK government actually gave them a lot of money to set up their factory on the Isle of Wight, and then they buggered off or whatever, the UK taxpayer being stung on the bill, and a lot of people over there being put out of work. And it's like, especially as we're supposed to be actually, I don't know, tackling climate change. It's like, the UK government, why don't you fucking nationalise that place and actually start producing bloody turbines? I don't know.
We can't bribe people into doing the right thing.
Of course you can.
No, we can't. We can't. You can't bribe people into doing the right thing at all.
Of course you can bribe people into doing the right
Well,
thing.
you can
Doing it.
regulate. You have to heavily regulate this, and that is not even a Marxist kind of argument. As Dave would point out, we've had this conversation many times that with some of the classical economists he studied, that they believe in capitalism as should be a highly regulated system because of this. I'm just maybe where he and I part ways is I still see some flaws that they didn't address, but that's where we part ways. But really, I'm not even making some sort of communist argument here.
No. So
but
basically,
it is an absolute.
We can't expect companies to be ethical, to be moral.
No.
We have to force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to. You have to force it, and I mean, and again, I don't know what the solution is, because a lot of the time when you get state ownership, it can be just as exploitative, if not worse. I mean, I will often say that the USSR was state capitalism, and certainly, I mean, China or whatever, is allegedly the Socialist People's Republic, and it's like it's a capitalist wet dream,
Giggity.
I think the problem you have is you are always going to require some form of capitalism, because a black market of capitalism will evolve if you don't.
Yeah,
if you don't incorporate it.
Yeah, I think you even the most staunch critic of capitalism has to, on an intellectual level, also accept the fact that it is an incredibly dynamic system, and does lead to a lot of advances. You can't, you're going to be intellectually honest. You can't ignore that.
Again, you can't also ignore the fact that you can have let's go with an authoritarian rather than a communist at this point, and turn around and say, you look at how the various countries have dealt with the current crisis.
Yeah.
And countries that were in an economic position to just shut down straight away and lock everyone in and say, we're stopping. The ones that are faring better in the long term. Anyway, next question. I think we've pretty much answered that one.
I think so, because that could go on all night, that conversation.
Yeah,
so.
Stop me now.
If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.